My name's Nicole, and I'm greeting you from Ohio in the US. And this is Shawnee, in Eastern Shawnee land. And I'll be co-hosting tonight with Elizabeth.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm here in Santa Fe in the Tewa world.
I'm a part of the working hub at the center of the mandala. And it's been a little while since I've been on the full moon call, but happy to be here tonight. Cynthia is on her book tour in New York City at the moment, and Rick Jansen is just arriving back from his pilgrimage from Tibet and Nepal back to New York. So they're joining there for an in-person gathering and guided meditation for this full moon. And so Elizabeth and I will be hosting our community here. Okay, I think I'll just kind of begin to ease in. What do you think, Elizabeth?
Yeah, seems good.
Okay. Well, I'm grateful to be with you. It seems we're gathering on such a potent night, this full moon, supermoon, eclipse, just on the precipice of the equinox. And so there's a lot of dynamic energy happening right now. So it feels really good to gather with intention, to gather in community, and to direct our focus into the world we want to see together collectively. And so what do I, we don't, sometimes in our full moon calls, we have a guest in the beginning, potentially a steward of a vase or a special guest to share about a territory or something of interest to our collective healing work. But tonight we don't have a guest coming. We're going to just have a short intro and head right into the meditation. There's a gentle focus right now on the New York City Earth Treasure Vase. This was a vase that was planted about 25 years ago. Is that right? That can't be right. 15, more like 15. Okay, the guy who planted it was 25 years old.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, so they're having this really great opportunity to pilgrimage back to that spot. It was planted right after 9/11. And some of the stewards were from the village Zendo, right there downtown. And some of those stewards will actually be reconvening with them either through Zoom or in person. So they'll be able to kind of retell that story and reactivate that spot. They're also gathering with Dharma Gates, which is a group of youth gathering to go on the pilgrimage as well. And in addition to that, Cynthia is leading a weekend on sacred activism at the Menla retreat, just north of that, just north of New York City. And I believe there's still some spots open for that if anyone is in the area and is interested. But they've got a full spread there. So tonight, we're holding that presence with them in that activation of that site in New York City. But I also just want to acknowledge that many of us arrive here with different territories and communities of humans and non-humans in our hearts. So this is an opportunity to hold that collectively together and to direct our prayers in each of these ways that we feel called. So how we do that on this practice is I'm going to share a bit about the lineage of this practice of the Earth Treasure Vase lineage and the roots of this practice and how it comes to us now. And then we're going to enter into a guided meditation together. And this meditation is really how we continue to feed this mandala that has built up over 30 years of practice 30 years of placements all over the planet, building this beautiful net of prayer around Mother Earth. And we speak each node, we speak each name, and we envision it, and we hold that in the light in our awareness together. And after the guided meditation, there's an opportunity for some sharing of offering intentions, prayers, what's on our heart, up into that mandala, into that web of light. So after the meditation, I'll invite everyone back into that kind of a circle space, and where one by one, each person that wants to share can offer their voice up, but it's not a requirement. You don't have to share, but we'll go over that then. Anything you want to add, Elizabeth, before I speak to the lineage?
No, wonderful, welcoming.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna look at a little bit of a write-up here to guide me. So some of you may know this already, but this Earth Treasure Vase practice, the beginnings of it are in the 8th century in Tibet. And at that time, Guru Padmasambhava and Guru Yeshe Sogyal created a set of treasure teachings. And they concealed them to be held in the inner realms for a future time on the planet, a time of degradation. And when they would be needed, when these treasure teachings would be needed, with the intention that there would be treasure revealers at a later time that would unearth them and offer them up. And so the Earth Treasure Vase practice is one of those treasure teachings, one of those termas from this tradition. And the practice of the Earth Treasure Vases was unearthed, it was revealed in the 1800s, in the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. And they were revealed by the great Terten Dudjom Lingpa. Since its discovery, the practice has been widely held within the Vajrayana tradition. In 1990, Cynthia Jors traveled to Nepal, and she trekked up a mountain to meet with an old Buddhist Lama in the cave. His name was Koshok Mangdang Charak Rinpoche. Cynthia had the opportunity to ask him one question, and the question on her heart, especially coming from Santa Fe near Los Alamos, with threat of nuclear war and facing how do we store this nuclear waste, all of that heavy on her heart, so much going on at that time. She said, how can we bring healing and protection to the earth? And in answer to that heartfelt question, Charak Rinpoche gave to Cynthia the Earth Treasure Vase practice. And from there, we give thanks to Lama Nagang Soltram Zangpo, who then orchestrated the crafting of the 1st and 2nd generation vases in the monasteries of Nepal and sent them home with Cynthia. Cynthia has then spent the last 3 decades of her life with great devotion, traveling the globe, meeting with communities on every continent, and supporting stewards in planting vases in their cherished locations. Then in 2019, do I have that right? When was the Ghost Ranch gathering, Elizabeth?
I think that's right.
Okay, in 2019, a 3rd generation of Earth Treasure Vases was generated from some of the materials of the 1st and 2nd generation, infused with some of the clay material of the Tewa world. And the crafting was guided by Tewa elder and potter Marian Naranjo. So we want to take the time to honor those who created and concealed these teachings for these times. We want to honor those who revealed them. We honor those who crafted them. We honor all who have stewarded them. And we honor the many and the many peoples who are now a part of this living Earth Treasure Vase mandala that spans the whole, this living web of prayers. Karen said that Ghost Ranch and the third generation vases happened 2021. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Okay, Elizabeth, I'm going to pass it on to you now.
Okay, so let's, in preparation for the meditation, let's just take a moment to tune into this full moon in Pisces, which the eclipse is, this partial eclipse is taking us into a new eclipse cycle. And it's going to be happening right as we are together tonight, or this morning, wherever you are. And the energies are amplified, as Nicole said, by it being a supermoon, where the moon is closest in its orbit to the Earth. And eclipses are pivot points that facilitate like real changes in our lives. And they are times where we can release and shed things from the past that no longer serve our highest good. And we are also approaching the change of seasons with the sun moving into Libra on the equinox in 5 days' time. And earth-based cultures have long recognized the equinoxes and solstices as portals through which the earth is blessed with renewing energies from the cosmos. And so as we do our meditation, I invite you to use this time to consciously open and receive the incoming light and intelligence and ground it in your body and send it out through the mandala for the benefit of all beings. And so now with the bell, we will begin the meditation, and I ask that everybody turn off their video so that there's no distraction during the meditation. Thank you. Let's begin by taking a few deep breaths, breathing in and out, deep and slow. Allowing your body to relax while you sense the ground beneath you, holding you, offering stability and calm. And as you breathe in and breathe out, imagine roots growing down from your body deep into the earth. And breathing in, draw up the nourishment through your taproot, the energies and life force of Mother Earth, which she gives generously and freely. And as you breathe in these energies, let all thoughts of the past and concerns for the future to melt away. In this precious moment of deep communion with the stabilizing and nourishing energies of Mother Earth. And from this place of being deeply rooted and grounded, Open to the light from above. Feel the warmth upon us from the sun and moon and stars. Connect with the vast energies of the cosmos. Rooted below, connected above, and present in this moment, breathing in and breathing out.
And now, let's feel our connectedness to the special place that you sit on the planet right now. Feeling your relationship to the soils, the stones, the waterways and the forests and the flowers, the communities of life who call your habitat home just like you. Sensing the life around you. And in this precious moment, in this special relationship with your place, we also acknowledge those who have gone before, the ancestors, the original indigenous people of the lands that we inhabit, those who have been in sacred relationship with our lands for countless generations. We acknowledge the future ancestors of this land who continue to hold this land as sacred for generations to come. We humbly take our place in the present moment and invite the blessings of those gone before and those yet to come upon our practice tonight. We also call upon all of our sources of inspiration, our own well ancestors, elders, teachers, guides, Buddhas and bodhisattvas and wisdom beings that we feel connected to, that we feel held by and guided by. We invite them to be present with us now. Invite their blessings to enter you. Breathing in and receiving that blessing. Receiving the love and support, the clarity.
And as this blessing enters you, feel this love and caring coming all the way into your deepest heart of hearts. Breathe it in. And breathing out, send this love to everyone who is present in our circle. And breathing in, receive the love that is being sent. Breathing out, sending, breathing in, receiving. Like the ebb and flow of the gentle tides washing blessings among us in this circle. And gradually expanding your focus to include all of your friends, family, and community. All of those who this practice may serve. And imagine our circle gradually growing from our home, our neighborhood, the bioregion, extending across the country and continent to include all beings in all places everywhere, embracing the whole planet with our love. breathing in and breathing out with Gaia. Now, with this feeling of rootedness below and expansiveness above, and waves of love flowing from your heart, let's turn our awareness to those who are suffering. The places where there is war, poverty, disease, pollution, droughts or floods or fires. Wherever the need for healing is very great. And breathe in this suffering into the center of your heart, and on the out breath, send your love and caring to relieve the suffering of the earth, her people, and all of life, all around the whole planet.
Imagine that where there is hunger, great, abundant, nourishing gardens begin to grow. Where there's thirst, fresh, clean waterways spring up. Where there are unhoused, safe shelters are constructed. Where there is war and conflict, choirs of peace echo in the hills. Where there is sickness, vital health is celebrated. And aware of where the earth is unstable, in danger, or out of balance in any way, imagine a restoration of balanced power, bringing protection and regeneration as you hear the land sing out in harmony. See the generosity and reciprocity in communities of life flowing freely, seeing the beauty and riches of nature flowering into their exalted forms, revitalizing this radiant blue-green planet we call home. As we hold this glowing vision of Mother Earth, we call into our awareness the presence of the earth treasure vases that have been planted or are in the process of being planted all around the world. Let us imagine together we are pouring our love and caring in the form of light into each and every little clay pot buried in the body of Mother Earth, filling each vase with our deepest prayers and blessings.
And imagine each earth treasure vase radiating light in every direction, sending healing and protective energies wherever it is needed, in whatever form it is needed. See the light like a rainbow streaming forth from each of the vases. White, yellow, red, blue, green, and all the colors in between. And breathing in and breathing out. Allow the feeling of caring and compassion in your heart of hearts to grow. Send that love out in the form of light to all the people, animals, plants, and places that are connected to the earth treasure vases, that need healing and protection in the past, in the present, and in the future. And beginning at the center of the earth treasure vase global healing mandala, in a cave above Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico, the birthplace of the atomic bomb. And to the north, at the south of the Rio Grande, in Creede, Colorado, to the south at the mouth of the Rio Grande, at the Gulf of Mexico, to the east on top of Mount Baldy above Santa Fe, and to the west on Mount Chacoma, known as Sikamu, to the Tewa people, the custodians of the sacred lands where the mandala began. And now, having established the center and the four directions, see the mandala growing to the Indian Point Nuclear Reservation on the Hudson River in New York, to the Headwaters Old Growth Redwood Forest in Northern California, to the Punta Cometa on the coast of Oaxaca, Mexico, Vilcabamba, Ecuador, Jakova, Kosovo, the Lawrence Laboratory at the University, California, Berkeley, the Dao Dum Forest on the border of Thailand and Burma, the village of Ain Karam in Israel, Palestine, Hiroshima, Japan, Inward Park above New York City after 9/11, the Biosphere 2 in Oracle, Arizona, the Martin Luther King Freedom Center in Oakland, California, the source of the Ganges River in India, the source of the Amazon in Peru, the Southern Pacific Ocean 93 feet down in Igam Atoll, the Trobriand Islands, Papua New Guinea, the Arctic Circle, Alaska, the Kogi lands of the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, Colombia, Telewoyan Village, Lofa County, Foinjama District, Liberia, West Africa, the Blida River Canyon, Limpopo Province in South Africa, the Giza Plateau, Egypt, Haleakala, Maui, Hawaii, the Ntombwe Forest, South Kivu Province, Democratic Republic of Congo, Avebury, England, and Bindaluk, Jawoyn Country, Catherine, Northern Territory, Australia.
And the second generation of earth treasure vases in Gabarmung, Arnhem Land, Australia. The Mackenzie King Park, Ottawa River Valley, Ottawa Gatineau, Canada. The original garden in Findhorn, Scotland. The Great Stupa of Buddhanath in Kathmandu, Nepal. The Flint Hills of Kansas in the heartland of America. The Santa Cruz Mountains near Silicon Valley, California. The Vase caldera of northern New Mexico. Honolulu, Bungle Bungles, the Kimberleys, Australia. The village of Utqiagvik at the edge of the sea in northernmost Arctic Alaska. The Hanford Nuclear Reservation on the shores of the Columbia River in the state of Washington. Mount Ryosen above Fukushima, Japan. Back to where it all began, at the cave hermitage of Charak, Nepal. To Margibi County, Liberia. In the base of an old ironbark tree in Dithahul Mountain in the Budawang Wilderness of Wabunja Country, Yuin Nation, southeastern Australia. To our root temple, Tolu Tarling Monastery in Nepal. The Munzur Valley in Turkey. Serpent Mound in Ohio. The Ashaninka Spiritual Portal, Campo de Rio, Amonea Indigenous Land, Acre, Brazil, Amazon, bordering Peru. The Border Peace School, Chirawan, the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. In Nabusamake, Arhuaco territory in Colombia. In Akaroa, Te Wampunamu, South Island, Aotearoa, New Zealand. On Mount Parnassus, above Delphi in Greece. On the Sibyl Mountain, La Marche, in Italy. In Way Awichin, facing the Wind Cates Park, North Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. In a sylvan wood near a creek that flows into the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. And in a secret corner of Tibet, high up in the Himalayan range next to a turquoise lake.
And the third generation of Earth Treasure Vases. In Antarctica, the Isle of Lewis in the Outer Hebrides, Scotland. The Sagatock Dunes on Lake Michigan in the USA. And to the Highwood Valley in the Rocky Mountains in Alberta, Canada. Southeastern U.S. Turtle Island, Chickanahay, Tennessee. A vase called Coronama planted on the shores of Lake Washington in Kirkland, Washington, near the Life Care Center where COVID began in the USA. In the Permian Basin, New Mexico. Along Sweetwater Creek at the base of Marble Mountain in Danby, Vermont. And the vase called Cetacea in Provincetown, Cape Cod, Massachusetts, honoring the wisdom and persistence of our whale relatives. And let's also include in our awareness the second generation vases being stewarded now. The one to the Bering Straits between the US and Russian border. To Western Australia. To Chile. To the Altai Mountains in Russia, to healing racism in the United States, to Bamiyan, Afghanistan, to Oroville, South India, to Luxembourg, and to Auschwitz in Poland, the vase for Palestine, and the vase dedicated to Spain. And the third generation Earth Treasure Vase is being stewarded now to Taos, New Mexico, to the Little Shell Tribe territory in Montana, for Triple Divide Peak on Turtle Island, a vase for the return of the salmon in northern Washington state, a vase dedicated to Kairos time, and the Paramo ecosystem of Colombia for the restorations of the waters of the world. And we also present the 3 second-generation vases awaiting their dedication, who rest on the altar along with the mother vase in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Once again, taking a deep, slow, nourishing in-breath and a deep, slow out-breath. Imagining that all that is needed to relieve the suffering of Earth can be seen as light radiating out from each of the Earth treasure vases, all around the whole planet in every direction. Each vase of each location holding a special medicine, a gift, an offering, a vitalization. Imagine this healing light flowing out from the vases, filling the whole global Earth treasure vase mandala with powerful, dynamic energies of love and caring, wisdom and justice, harmony and peace, traveling through the song lines, the meridians, these pathways, these rivers of light, flowing into each location on the global mandala. See the mandala like a web of light, embracing the whole planet, flowing like waves, shimmering, feeling yourself a part of this mandala, the waves flowing to your own heart, vessel of you, energizing, vitalizing. See the brilliance of that light that is flowing out the whole area, the sphere of influence of each vase. And with our family in New York City gathered there right now, also in this prayer, this focused intention, we offer up our own light, especially into that direction of the Inwood Park, sending our blessings of peace and harmony and justice in the form of light to embrace this vase being reactivated on the equinox. May it be renewed in its intentions on behalf of all beings. May it be reawakened to contribute to the realization of all of our aspirations. We offer these visions, these prayers, these heartfelt, flowing, shimmering lights to the whole earth for all time. Seeing the healing and protection radiating out from each vase around the earth, flowing back and forth endlessly. See this light flowing into your own location. Feel the collective spiritual intelligence of the entire global Earth Treasure Vase mandala activating your node in the mandala, entering you as a holy vessel. Imagine that the healing is accomplished and the vitality of the earth is completely restored.
Recognizing the great interconnected web that is life on earth, of which we are each a part, let us give thanks for this precious sacred time and pray that the compassion and peace that is our true condition may bring supreme happiness and benefit to the earth and to all beings. And now with another deep, slow in-breath and a deep, slow out-breath, bring your awareness back into your body, feeling your feet on the floor, grounded on the earth in your own location, and wiggling your toes, opening your eyes, return to the circle for the sharing and making offerings. So at this time, we welcome prayers that are most on your heart at this time. They can be for New York, or they can be for the country that you live in. They can be for your personal life. Just, this is an open time to send energy into any of the vases that you're called to. We welcome your prayers.
And when you are ready to offer something, you can raise your hand with the Zoom hand raising function. But also I'll be watching for you, if you want to do it like this, and I'll invite you to come forward one by one. Hi, Maggie.
Hi, lovelies. Oops, sorry, just lost the speaker. Put that over. In the meditation, I became very aware of the elemental beings of the inner earth, who I felt very much wanted to be seen and acknowledged. I think the fact of them in a more open way now being willing to be seen in itself was significant, but felt they needed to be, were requesting to be witnessed and to be acknowledged, and also that they're very connected into the path of service that we are working with, this renewal of the earth and protection of the earth. It seemed very particular to the US Vase that they perhaps do this invitation to these deep earth elemental beings, that there is, it's interesting, this is the first time we've used the term reactivation, where we've very consciously as a mandala going back, returning to a vase, and it feels like there is a reactivation that is possible. And part of these beings are part of that too. There is another level of work that can be done as we move through this changing time. So I feel they are one aspect of it that we're asking to be known and to be incorporated in the process. And Julian, when you played the didge, very much the beginning of it, I felt you very much acknowledged those beings. You could feel them, the sound, the deep earth that was there absolutely was very incorporating to them. So beautiful weaving. Thank you, lovelies.
Thanks, Maggie. Hi, Karen. Welcome.
Thank you. I think I'm still in a bit of a state of shock today at what has happened with all of the pagers that exploded in the hands of so many people throughout the Middle East. That another act of terrorism of blowing up people's hands as they are happening to be around one of those pagers, and apparently an attack that I believe Israel is taking responsibility for. And I thought about that relative to September 11th, and I went, okay, this is another date to remember the terrorisms that we are doing that can harden us to the real emotional and physical impact that war and that othering does. And when I think about this weekend, and September the 21st is the International Day of Peace, and has been acknowledged as the International Day of Peace throughout the world now for quite some time. I see it, and also to know that we are speaking about a full moon with a partial eclipse. We are speaking to the change of the seasons with the autumnal equinox. There is so much happening in this several day period that calls us to listen, as Maggie has just described, to the more than human support structures that are trying to reach us and say, we are here for you. You cannot You cannot do this on your own. We are here to support you. And just to add to the understanding of what science is now discovering, is that the deeper they probe into Earth's surface and go down further and further, the more life forms they are discovering. It is absolutely blowing their minds. They didn't know that life could exist so far down. No matter where we are being surrounded beneath our feet with these beings who want to support us to recognize that we are all interconnected, not only with one another, not only with other humans and other nations, but with all other forms of life. So I just want to add support to what Maggie has acknowledged about the elementals and about all these other life forms that are throughout Earth. They don't even know how far down yet they can go and not find life. And to recognize that we need all the help we can get, to remember that we all belong. So that is what I would like to add to this treasure vase that was so aptly honoring not even honoring necessarily, but acknowledging what happened on September 11th in 2001, just to recognize that until we acknowledge our belonging with all life and all beings, we will continue to do violation. And so it's time for us to shift and to call upon all beings to support us and thank them for doing that. So thank you.
Welcome, Kat. No, we can't hear you yet. Yeah.
Sorry. I also wanted to follow on Maggie and Karen because I also was deeply feeling that. And the prayer arose in me that we could, I'm praying for us to find our capacity and our ears and our antennas and our deep listening abilities to be able to find the paths of communication with all life, all beings that want to help us on all the realms, and just to open those ears, those cosmic ears, to be able to hear, listen, and to quiet ourselves enough to be able to do that. So I'm just bringing that prayer into the circle for this capacity to grow in us. And I also just wanted to bring in the image that I experienced, or what I experienced during the meditation, of the mandala being lit up. And it was like when there's a big firework, that's just like radiating out. I just saw the light, it was like fireworks, or in a way, it was interesting because the word bomb came to me, like a bomb, like a love bomb, and it was a really powerful experience for me. So I just wanted to share that with the circle as well.
Welcome, Marilyn.
Hello. Yeah, I have no problem with elemental beings or other beings. The prayer I wish to offer is for the human beings that are on this earth, and particularly those residing in the United States, that the Vases and the mandala will send out the proper light and energy to get people to take some responsibility if they care about the earth, if they care about human beings, if they care about the future, to make a wise choice in the election coming up. The United States is in a situation where it could have tremendous impact on the future, depending on what choice they make. So I hope some enlightenment or light or wisdom will come from the vases, especially those that are planted in the United States, and guide people with the help of elemental beings or not, but take agency and do something to help the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. Marita, did I see your hand go up? Okay, hi, welcome.
Thank you. I would like, if this is a reactivation for the vase dedicated to healing from 9/11, I would like to add prayers of healing and protection for something that we never thought about at that time, which was all of the diseases that the first responders have experienced since 9/11. All those heroes who came in, who have been dying because of their response. So at this reactivation time, I would like to add a special prayer for all of those responders.
Hi, Elizabeth, go ahead. Can't hear you, sweetie.
Okay. For this vase, I've always held the prayer that this.
You accidentally muted yourself again.
No, I did. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. My prayer is that the people of this country could take the position that something as terrible as the 9/11 and the losses experienced as a stand in the world that we do not want this to happen to anybody else. That rather than building military force, we take a moral stand or just stand in the truth that we do not want to anyone else to experience this type of loss and harm. And part of my prayer is also for wise leadership, for people grounded in connection with the earth and with the elementals, who can lead in this direction of forgiveness and care. And in relationship to all the other prayers with the elementals, I want to add the prayer that we overcome our human supremacy, where we act as if we are the most important beings on the earth, and that we do truly reunite with the web of life. So thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I'd like to offer some prayers for my community here in Springfield, Ohio. Right now, from the governmental debates and from things that President, or not President, former President Trump and Vance are talking about my town. And we have a beautiful growth in our community of Haitian folks who are taking refuge here. And there, since those lies were spoken about them, there's been bomb threats in our schools and KKK recruiters on the streets. And so there's also a beautiful influx of people organizing and supporting Haitian businesses and eating at their restaurants and coming from states all around me to our town to support them. So my prayer in this community teaches me about radical prayer. So I want to try to reach for that, which is that that something wildly, beautifully transformative happens here. That fear and that hate just has nothing to hook onto. It just doesn't. Because this land here, Ohio, is so generous. It's so gentle. It is woodland. This is Springfield. It's a field of springs. The waters upswell from the earth here in such beautiful ways. It creates these beautiful green pastures. This land is generosity. This land of where the Serpent Mound is, where all these earthworks are, is a place of peace. This is a place of intertribal gathering from all over this continent. That's what these earthworks were. Ancient people gathered here and they laid their weapons down from different tribal nations and came together to learn and be in ceremony, trade, cross-cultural exchange. The riverways made that possible. That's what this land is. And so I am just seeing the upswelling of that legacy. I'm just feeling the trees, the waters, the earth, just remembering and being so clear about who we are, that attempt to like say those lies and drop those things here are just like, boop, they don't land, because that's not what we are. This is who we are. We welcome cross-cultural exchange, celebration. I'm seeing there's gonna be so much music and so much dancing and so much good food and learning each other's languages. And the children feeling so proud to be Haitian, the children feeling so proud to be from where they are, feeling protected, feeling safe, all of us feeling like our creative power to create sanctuary for one another just rises up. So that's my radical prayer, that this that's what it is. Thank you.
Nicole, Ilse, you had your hand up before. Are you still willing to speak? It'd be lovely to hear your voice.
Okay. My name's Ilse and I live in Canberra in Australia. I moved here about 18 months ago, and that's from Melbourne, and the energy here is very, very different to what it is down in Melbourne. The prayer that came in this experience of Earth Treasure Vase mandala meditation was the awareness that the prayer of the Earth Treasure Vases, the consciousness, to bring it in consciousness with us everywhere we go out into the world, not just within the groups where we feel safe, because it resonates and vibrates in our auric field, and it lifts up everywhere we go, all the people we meet, which will bring it further. Here it's been a special week, because last Sunday, it was actually the equinox day, because it was equal day and equal night, which I celebrated with walking the labyrinth both times. So in the middle of this week comes the full moon, and then everyone celebrates on the 21st, the equinox day, which I've decided probably fits in more with the Earth star energy of equinox. So my prayer is for consciousness of Earth star, not necessarily vocal, but just being in that awareness in your heart with the healing of the Earth Treasure Vase with you everywhere you go. So it's quite a task, because if you're going into groups or strangers and things like that, it becomes very activated, or that's what I've noticed, that's been happening all week for me. So that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you. Welcome, Julian.
Thank you. Yeah, just, yeah, really appreciating this connection with you all of us here, because we love and cherish the earth and all life. And I'm holding this little world in my hands, looking at all the different continents and countries, and just thinking how beautiful this planet is in so many ways, the natural beauty. And I had a dream recently with meeting Mother Earth, and just her crying and me crying, and just, she said to me, it could have been so different. And it was a very powerful moment, and it just reminded me of just how much grief there is, because we do have an Eden right here, and all the conflict and all the lack of acceptance of different cultures and traditions and understandings, and all of that conditioning of humanity to feel like we're separate. It's devastating, and I've just been feeling a lot of grief lately about the way that we could be living in such beautiful harmony, just the way the trees and the forests and the ecosystems find balance with each other. Everybody is honored, and everybody has its place, and everything like that. And I suppose my prayer is just for humanity to remember that we are part of nature, not separate. And like many of others have said, is just, this time is just finding the way to just keep on radiating love into the world, and knowing that love and authenticity are the highest vibrational energies we can carry. And if we carry that in our own lives and communicate that and be that, that's the most powerful thing we can do right now, is keep on being ourselves, and just keep on shining the light, and keep on shining the light, even though it might feel like we've got a broken heart. Stevie Wonder just wrote that new song, Healing the Heart of a Broken Nation, coming out and responding to the situation here. And, you know, one of our elders, Mama Margaret Catherine from Arnhem Land, Northern Territory, she just said, whatever you do, don't close your heart. Keep your heart open. You know, when there's grief, allow the grief to flow through you. When there's joy, let the joy flow through you. Because yeah, we just got to keep on, even though it feels so difficult at times. It teaches us so much if we can journey through this. And when I was playing the Yidaki, the didgeridoo today, I was just feeling the sadness and the grief of this site, 9/11, and just, you know, the Yidaki, the didgeridoo, is the sound of Mother Earth. So I just felt just so much love of Mother Earth going to that place and to all the people who are affected, and just sending so much love and support and kindness and compassion to bring new light into that location for the highest good of all. And I agree, we have to be responsible with our actions, and if we don't want to perpetuate violence, we have to make sure that we're not aggravating and agitating things that will just, you know, create more suffering. So my prayer is that we can all, in our own ways, contribute to love and compassion and understanding, even in the face of such challenges. Just keep on being in your loving presence and keep on shining that out. Thank you so much.
Hi, Sherry, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Wow, I'm just all of a sudden I could really start to cry. I'm going to do my best to just like breathe that all in and not cry, for just appreciation and for the prayers that have been already given. And what I felt during the meditation and the invoking and the reactivating, I really felt that too. The reactivation, I felt all of them, just this light beaming out, and then everyone who is aware and in this beautiful community is like right there in Indra's net. Like our lights are brighter and brighter and brighter, and then all of those projects and organizations and initiatives that are aligned in love and care, who may not know about this at all, but in some ways they're holding those prayers. And I felt the weaving of more wholeness there, and that this mandala is my prayer is that this light that we're generating, this beautiful wholeness and this caring and love, that's just this enveloping Mother Earth with such grace and such power and such care, that it uplifts all of those projects that are needing extra love and care to get them to the next level. That it creates a kind of a path of more ease and grace, because so many people are struggling, and they're struggling because of fear, because of not enough resources, because they don't have that glorious like what you were talking about, Nicole, I was just like, yes, that's what this community is going to be. It's just going to be beaming that kind of energy of like, nope, not here. And we're going to just do what we could do on this planet, what is really possible, like what Julian said. So I am just praying for all of those organizations, initiatives, and projects that are already doing the work that need a little bit more grace to like pop them into the next level, and that they can, without understanding, they can tap into this mandala and they will be like, it's served because there's alignment of purpose and care and love and values, and we're all on the same mission, even if we have different pathways. So that's and then so that's really what I wanted to say. And then the other was, I really appreciated, Nicole, that you asked for a personal prayer, and I'm going to ask for a personal prayer. I'm moving for the first time really since 1985 out of Washington State down to Oregon, and I'm going to a project that is really one of those projects, and there's need of resources to flow in to be able to keep what is being stewarded as this center for regeneration and bioregion and healing and education and all of it. And so I just ask for that, like the flow and the ease to come into this project and for the right people. And I pray that for us and for everyone else in this beautiful community who may need some extra support. Thank you.
Hi, Louise, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. First, I just want to express my love and appreciation for Nicole and her vision for Springfield. Hearing about those events has been horrifying, and your response to it is so remarkable and so beautiful. And it reminded me that when the awful march and the gathering of white supremacists happened in Charlottesville a few years ago in Virginia, that was the response of the community, that there was so much organizing for several years around joy and culture and welcome and reciprocity, and it just ignited something beautiful in that community. And my prayer is that would happen in Springfield as well out of this tragedy. And then I just wanted to let people know about some more interweaving that's happening. I'm in the Piscataway lands, now known as Washington, D.C., and was one of the co-hosts of the DC Earth Treasure Vase. And this Saturday at 11 Eastern Time, we're going to have some focused intention at that site. Marita will be visiting with the vase from Auschwitz that she intends to take to Auschwitz rather in November. And we'll be doing some aligned meditation on Wise USA, which is praying, meditating for best possible outcome for the US election. And Cynthia will be doing something around the same time frame with the 9/11. And I feel like there's something about history. We put a lot of prayers into the DC Vase around repair and amends and a lament for history with Indigenous peoples and enslaved peoples. And something about that and the history at Auschwitz and the history of 9/11, some of the worst that humans have been able to do to each other, and then deep need for repair and work within Gaia for that work. So if anyone wants to join in that meditation where you are at 11 a.m. on Eastern, then there's going to be a focused time of intention for that at the site of 9/11 and the site of DC Earth Treasure Base or wherever you are. So I feel just I don't know, inspired, I guess, that Leslie Meehan called last week and said, would you be part of this to bring the Auschwitz base to this? So it's all part of a beautiful progression of commitment and healing, I think, that's deepening for me into this community. And I'm really grateful. So thank you.
Thank you. Would you be willing to put in the chat some kind of way that folks can connect with what you're doing? Is there some way to do that?
Yes, the question I have about that, which somebody here may know, is I think there's a smaller group that's doing a Zoom link together, but then there are other people that are just invited to do what they want at that time, and that's what there is to say about it. I think it's the council that's doing the Zoom together, but I don't know the answer to that. Does anybody else? Yeah.
Go ahead, Kat.
Yes, the smaller steward support group that I'm in has Leslie is in it. And so she put out the information to join a Zoom in that group. So Leslie would have the link if you wanted to join. So I don't know how to get that information. I don't.
I guess my question there, Kat, is I'm not sure. I think that's meant to be for that group, for that community. And I'm not sure it's meant to be open. Like what I understood from in Washington was that I could extend the invitation to those who wanted to join at that time, but it's not for the shared Zoom.
Oh, okay. Well then, I think it's just tune in at 11.
Yeah, I'll just put that in the chat, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
I think that's the extent of it.
Okay,
Sorry,
thank you.
that's
Thank you
confusing.
for clarifying that.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, Julian. Welcome.
Hi. Gratitude to everyone who's spoken and everyone who hasn't. Recognizing all of our hearts and whatever conditions they're in this evening. And I think I just wanted to briefly add stamina into the vase, into all the vases, into ourselves as sacred vessels. I'm noticing maybe the balance between heavy hearts and uplifted hearts, and that if we happen to be falling on the side of heavy heart, just having stamina and no force, but faith that there is renewal. There is renewal. And we may stumble upon it in an instant, or it may be a while, but that we continue to offer. Kind of leave it at that, just stamina to continue to offer.
Hi, Isabella, go ahead.
I can't find the hand on the screen. I'm sorry. Hi, everybody. Oh, my heart is so full being with you all tonight. I'm so grateful. I just want to share my experience of 9/11. I was in Italy at the time. I was traveling, and it was so amazing. The response of Italian people to 9/11. I was in a small town in Tuscany in San Gimignano. And that day, after the shock of hearing about it and learning about it, all the businesses, all the people, there were American flags in all the store windows. I just want to, contribute the power of history, because wars happen, conquest happens. World War II had happened, in Europe, and people remember and are so grateful for Americans coming. And I'm European, I'm French, and you don't forget these things. I just want to, share that perspective with all of us. From my experience and my standpoint, wars happen, they're horrible. We don't want that, but it happens. And the better part of ourselves, that's what happened after 9/11, and the power of memory, the power of gratitude, the power of goodness, and the choices you make, trying to survive these things. That's the fabric of who we are today, and memory has to be honored. And, the people who came to save us, as I would say, being a European. I just wanted to share that because that was my experience, and it was so overwhelming. And all the church bells going at noon on that day throughout Italy. And, had I been in France, it would have been the same in France. I'll never forget that. And I think we need to keep that in perspective. Who we are today, where we stand, on whatever ground we stand, and the gratitude. And thank you, Nicole, for sharing what you shared about Springfield. I just, my heart is so broken. But it's just history repeating itself. and the stand we take on any given day, given what happens. So thank you all. Thank you.
I keep hearing and sensing beckoning and beaconing, being beckoned by these historical events, these chaotic, terroristic events, the violence, and so much grief and response, of course. But that this beckoning, we're being beckoned, just like a dis-ease beckons us to listen deeper as to what the root of that dis-ease is, to help remember the wholeness. And I had a dream a couple nights ago about it was fleeting, but the sun was at my back, warming my back, which allowed it to become longer and warm and more resilient. And my shadow was very long with the trees, long and tall, like on the mountain with the trees. And I realized, you know, it was a shadow, but it was made by the sunlight. And I'm just having the sense of the sun strengthening us and strengthening our resolves to stand like towers and beacons of love. We're being beckoned, and just as Maggie said at the very beginning, by so many beings, and so many of us have that sense and have particular senses. So I'm with you all. Let's be those beacons and dance as towers of love too. Not just stand in one place, but join and dance.
Just listening in to see if there are any other words that want to be spoken, any other prayers or visions that we want to give voice to, and or not. And we can hold the silence, and we can also close with when we're ready. Olivia.
Hi, everyone. I feel almost moved to tears by a lot of what we've shared today. And at moments, it felt like I didn't know if I had the strength to speak. And thank you, Michelle, for the beckoning. I think that helped me. Yeah, I mean, for sure, my heart is with the election in the US. I grew up in Chicago. I live in Canada on Turtle Island. And I just so fervently wish that truthful, honest, loving communication prevails, and that the election is fair and safe, and that the lies diminish and fade away.
yeah, and I just add my tears to that. My heartfelt tears. And I also want to share that the next day after the 21st, on the 22nd, the Sunday, Maggie Kaplan, Alan Cogan, and I are going to be visiting the Weyawachin base and reactivating it. And we're planning to do a meditation and then a sohbat, which is a Sufi word for a kind of a mystical conversation. So we're planning to be in a sacred conversation with the Vase and each other. And that'll be this Sunday afternoon. We haven't decided the exact time yet, but probably early afternoon Pacific time. If you want to tune in with us then.
Hi, Susan. Welcome.
Hi, I couldn't find the raise your hand. I disconnected myself. But tonight has been so powerful. But one thing I was thinking is I would like to add to the Vase's hope. I'm feeling a lot of hope for our future. And there's always good and bad happening, it swings. I'm going to focus my energy on the good and what we wish to create, and that's what I feel like the bases do too. It spreads. We always put our intentions into them and into the positive, and that's what we're cultivating. And as I'm listening to this, I'm sewing, and sewing always, I'm making a special bag for somebody, but with sewing, just like our ancestors, we go above and below, and I'm weaving hope as I stitch, and I'm stitching in our love and our wishes for what we want to have occur. And thanks everyone for adding all their positivity.
Any other prayers that want to be spoken out loud tonight? Okay. Thank you for this blessing of your presence. For me, I'm experiencing so many crossing lines of time, of cycles. And so I'm so grateful to be in the mystery of all of that in a way that we're seeding the love, the harmony that we want to breathe into the world. So thank you for this practice. Elizabeth, would you like to dedicate a practice tonight?
Yes. For as long as the earth remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may these earth treasure vases too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Through the merits of this practice, may all beings realize their inseparability with Gaia and all life upon her, living in peace and harmony. May there be no more war or conflict. May all hearts be filled with compassion. Alala ho.
Alalaho.
Alala ho.
Aloho.
May we
Alalaho.
dance and sing.
Alalaho.
Alalaho. Alalaho.
Alalaho.
Together. Like
There's a crack in everything. That's where the light comes in.
Thank you, everyone. The light was strong tonight. I feel the light.
Mm. Okay. You can shut it down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Be well.
You too.